Hello, BridgeNation. Good day to you. 3 minutes after midday on Wednesday, April 19th, here in Kingston, Jamaica. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. The Honorable Pearnel Charles is my co-host, and we join Irwine Clare very shortly for the Global Connection Hour. He's with Irie Jam in the tri-state area, broadcasting from New York City. The Bridge is the station that unites the Jamaican diaspora anywhere and everywhere in the world. It's a critical link. It hasn't existed before. It deserves your support. So, we're happy to join all our friends abroad and to welcome you on the Bridge 99.13579 on the FM dial, and of course on Instagram at the Bridge 99 FM. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, I'm told, Bridge 99 FM, and we're available in the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. The phone numbers for your link, 876-551-5782 and 676-4996, and of course the inimitable 876 goes before all of that. Wherever you are in the world, connect us. What a wonderful thing WhatsApp is. Mr. Charles, good day and greetings.
Greetings, my brother. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. And I'm just marveling, as we must do from time to time, on the ubiquitousness of modern technology. I remember when I was studying abroad, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, you had to line up in front of Cable and Wireless on Duke Street or at Carlton to get a phone call. Remember? And it was crackling up. Nowadays, WhatsApp, you just chip, 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 and connects you with all of your fans abroad.
Well, to send a letter to New York, about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, and more than that. Yes, and New York, probably that.
So New Zealand is about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes.
Now it's 10 seconds.
Yes.
You can just boop, boop, just send it through email. You're there.
But one of the things it has done is to change the character of romance. I mean, you're an expert in that regard. but I mean, it used to be that you had to write a love letter, which involved a matter of consideration, of penmanship, of outpouring of emotion. Nowadays, you just click something and you have the voice of the loved one, no matter how far you're away. Is that the same thing, or have we diluted something?
No, but well, we have to understand that. And I said to somebody the other day who was expressing the same thing. I might not live to see another 20 years. Might. You never know.
Yes, you never know.
But technology, I would like to say what is going to happen. So one of my grandsons was with me, and he said, it took a long time from halfway tree to reach here because it was at 4:35.
Full of traffic, yes.
Traffic. And he said, Grandpa, I mean, you guys got to get with this. In another few years, we would not be using cars. We just helicopters.
You just levitate. I tell you. Okay.
So there's going to be a lot of traffic in the air.
Yes, well, there you go. Well, you'll tell us when we join Irwine and the folk in New York. In the meanwhile, let's look at some local affairs. We were talking before the report to the nation by the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, shows a very, very buoyant picture for that industry.
Yes.
No, that's good. I don't like the comparisons with last year, because last year was in the middle of COVID. It's obviously that was going to be very low. But what he has said that's significant is that we're now doing better than pre-COVID levels.
Yes.
In terms of numbers of visitors and in terms of their spend. My concern is how much of that big money is staying in Jamaica. It's nice to know about the taxes that we collect. That's significant. How we spend it is another matter. But we have to keep as much of that money in our...
Well, which money you're talking?
The money that we collect from the tourists.
No. Where do we collect?
We collect from taxes.
Oh, well, yes.
A head tax, tourism enhancement, all those things.
Yes.
And we also collect, I believe, a room tax from the hotels.
Yes.
But many of the hotels are foreign owned, and they take their money where they please.
Yes.
The area that I think you and I will agree needs much more attention is in terms of food and attractions.
Well, to me, the thousands of tourists that are coming to Jamaica, in my opinion, would like to have some Jamaican thing.
Yeah, man.
You know? What you just said a while ago?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. One asked me if I could teach them some Jamaican.
Yes.
So even that is important.
Yes.
But they hear about Bolt and him come from Chilani, and him have a thing called round leaf yam, and black bourbon cocoa. You know those things?
Yeah, no, left man cocoa. Left man cocoa. Yeah.
You don't know black bourbon?
No, sir, no, come from
okay,
Senna.
but you know,
hey, Irwine Clare, rescue me now.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds good. It sounds good.
Greetings to the listeners and the massive at Irie Jam in New York.
Indeed.
Pearnel is showing off his culture.
Well, but you know.
Contain him.
No.
Contain him.
You know breadfruit, right? Which one you know?
Me know everything except the kind of cocoa we
No, tell me about breadfruit.
Me know breadfruit. The whole heap of breadfruit. We have Brammy.
No. Breadfruit.
Breadfruit?
Yes. You know yellow heart breadfruit?
Yes, sir.
And what the other one name?
Brammy.
What?
Me know one called Brammy in Portland.
Oh, okay. You know one that a lot of things like saw?
Like brittle? Like brittle. On it. What that name?
Irwin, bring me up now. You remember that?
No. I'm making notes right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's in St. Mary.
Okay.
I'm taking notes.
But since you're on that, give us 10 more seconds. I have a ackee that when it opens, it can stay at you for 3 days.
Oh.
And before it spoils. And if you don't travel, it can open wide.
Right.
And until it falls.
Yeah.
I have another one. Once it's open, you got to go with it. Now, the one, you just throw hot water on it and it's cooked.
Yeah.
The other one, you have to cook it.
You have to boil it.
And I went to Mr. Siaga and said, but I don't understand. He said there are about 9 or 10 different types of ackee in Jamaica.
And there are multiple types of breadfruit.
Oh, well, I'm not sure how many types. I only know about 3.
No, there's plenty enough. At Pastor Gardens in Portland, Irwin, at the College of Agriculture, they have all different types of breadfruit. And we should, what we want to say in discussing the growth of the tourist sector is that we want to expose the tourists to Jamaica, not only to our beaches and to our...
And that's what they come there for. And that's what they come there for. And that's exactly what they come there for.
I hate him with the last one, Nisberry.
Yeah.
I have 3 different types of Nisberry. One I didn't plant, and I asked, at the time when I saw it growing, it must have been planted by a bird. Yeah. Right? Because it was very small. I gave you one the other day.
Sweet like anything.
And we have been warned not to have much of it. It can give you diabetes. Yeah. The way it's sweet.
Yeah. Yes. So
there are a lot of different things in Jamaica. Not only food, not only culture, not only this.
So Mr. Charles, yes. and there goes the authenticity of our nation, which we have not managed to leverage and market sufficient. These are the things that people want. And I'm telling you no, we are not getting enough of it, even when we come down there. Because even when I come to Jamaica from time to time and I go to restaurants, I can't get some of the things you're talking about. I get more of them probably here in New York than I get in Jamaica. I can take you now, you and run it to any restaurant in Queens and Brooklyn and give you a Jamaican breakfast with yam, banana, dumpling, dashing. Those are not things readily available when we go do breakfast in Jamaica, gentlemen.
Yeah, because you are catering to an American, and you know what he wants. So you import breadfruit, you import plantain, you import banana.
But when they come to you,
so when you give them a plate, it's totally Jamaican. But here now we don't do that, right?
Yeah, but we import the food from all over.
And give the same guy who come down. And give the same guy who come down there.
That can't work. No. Listen, we haven't anything to chat before our visitor comes in. Last weekend was Carnival. You went out and done Carnival.
No.
Tell
the truth. Tell the truth. I'm not a Carnival man.
No, neither am
I. But I've seen some of it on television, what you think? Which I hope that my granddaughter didn't see. I'm not very happy about it.
No,
but it's a culture, so that part of the culture I am not attracted
it's
to.
Brazilian culture.
But however,
money.
Oh, yeah, that's where I'm headed to, and that's where they.
So we have to, what the Bible says, you have to make friends with the mammon of iniquity.
Okay.
I saw coming from church on Sunday. See, I saw more ladies with less on their bottom than on their head.
And that includes here, right?
And they had on more markings than clothes.
So yes, indeed. So
I don't know why do we do that?
Well, I don't know, and that is supposed to be an exercise of freedom and an opportunity for tremendous merriment. Now, I understand the networking and the colleaguery and the camaraderie and so on. I love a good fete and good dance and music, but Lord have mercy, is this? And then when you as you mentioned your granddaughter Pearnel, when you teach little children that's how you stay, that is fun. Is that really going to make them good wives, good mothers, productive? What do you think, Mr. Clare?
But gentlemen, look, and I agree. I echo your sentiments as well. I echo your sentiments. But look at the environment from which it's being promoted. Mm-hmm. These are some of the most powerful entities in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. These are some of the perks. So when the regular show that promotes our culture goes to for sponsorship they can't get.
They lost their way.
This seems to have all the sponsorship across all the corporate structures in Jamaica.
Right.
So and then you also have some of our leaders representing the industries in ministries saying that this is a big money maker and it's a celebration.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
Well, I feel they lost their way, but and I'm not being a prude by any means, but I'm trying to understand the mentality and to see how it endures to overall well-being, But it certainly was madness, I'm told.
Before you leave off it, Rennie, let me hasten to say I am not anti the carnival.
Oh.
It's just that it's not a part of my everyday thing. I prefer one woman than a whole. And if you walk on the street and catch you, them run up for a photograph and you're in the middle.
I see. Lord, that happened to you, eh? Poor Pearnel, he's in trouble.
And then it starts trending.
Oh, Lord, I am not worthy. Listen,
it starts trending.
And you have to go home and explain why you had carnival.
Okay, can we take another serious thing now? Because our Prime Minister and other Caribbean Prime Ministers, when we have a wide Caribbean diaspora audience through Irwine Station, and more so, it went to Trinidad this week to discuss crime and violence and guns in the region. Yes. And I really understand their pathos and their seriousness. Some foolishness was talked, but some sense too. But at the end of the day, I listened yesterday evening, Irwin, to Prime Minister Rowley of Trinidad, announcing that the Caribbean leaders were going to write a letter to America, to Mr. Biden, saying please to keep the assault weapons away from us.
Okay.
I felt very weak. That him can do? That is all we can do?
Well, I heard Prime Minister Marta indicated that whatever resolve comes from this must be some functional things that can be put in place into action. If that's what the resolve here, then we need to go back to the drawing boards.
Randy, somebody that's called to say it's not as easy as you have just said.
Okay.
They said that, for example, one of the prime ministers said, listen, we are helping to keep drugs out of America.
Yes, we saw
and we are asking you to help us to keep guns out.
But let Irwin tell you if I'm wrong. But America has no interest in that.
In what?
In keeping drugs out of guns out of our country.
That's a late non-starter.
I wouldn't say that.
No, they have no. Look at the proof, sir. Look at the years.
But not only that. What about how they control guns in our society?
Exactly. It is because of their own understanding of their right to bear arms. And the proliferation of arms. Yes, they are not concerned with that at all. If we have a gun problem, they will tell you that it is not the gun that is the problem, that it is the mind of the person using the gun, because that is what they are saying to their own people. And so writing a letter to them is absolute futility.
Is that all of them saying that? A large portion of the American, the present president and his cabinet, is fighting to
thank you for that.
But go easy. You, as government, free up ganja in Jamaica. And every man can even plant ganja in them yard. Hold on. And then the police is locking up man for ganja. No, explain that to me.
Meanwhile, I can get it on Flatbush Avenue.
Not all you can get on Flatbush Avenue.
I mean, legally.
Well, you know what, Ronnie agreed with me some time ago, and I mourned. I said to my son when he was 13 years old, "You're going to Campion. When there's a break, don't go around where the pool is, because the boys might be doing a puff around there." He said to me, "Daddy, I wish you had told me from last year."
Well, you know, these are the things that
and
I
it
think.
spoiled up the boys. A lot of our boys have been affected.
But the gun is. Take your point about the weed, but don't divert from the guns. We have to deal with the guns ourselves. And the truth is that there are many people in the Caribbean, many people in Jamaica, who believe in the same Second Amendment freedom. And you've had members of the cabinet, a man I consider a friend, Delroy Chuck, talking about let the whole society arm themselves. But this is madness.
Let me ask you a question though, and correct me here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Did I read recently where it was the commissioner basically said that the whole ownership of guns was democratized? Am I where is that a statement that I can attribute to him? I saw that statement somewhere and I want to understand what that meant. The freedom to access guns or transparent or whatever.
Whoever said it, the fact is that is in fact what is going on right now.
Oh yes, you can get a gun if you're qualified according to their standard of qualification.
So if you get a gun, what do you do with it? Chuck, let's take a break on the public eye and the global connection. Join us on the bridge. This is 99 FM and the Public Eye in Kingston, Jamaica, with Irwine Clare at Irie Jam in New York. Over to you, Mr. Clare.
Welcome, gentlemen. Before we introduce our next guest, gentlemen, and to our listenership in Jamaica and here in the tri-state area, just want to congratulate last Sunday, gentlemen. We had what was called Team Jamaica Bickle's Labor of Love Luncheon.
I heard it went well.
That honored Aileen Bailey, Olympian, and Miss Pat Chin. And I must say that congratulations to all those who came out to make it a successful endeavor. Because as you know, gentlemen, and Jamaica, we are preparing for athletes or ambassadors to ascend on the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection next week, and we're talking Philadelphia. And it is even in that vein that our next guest, gentleman, is a resident of Philadelphia. In fact, he is the CEO of Culturally Congruent Solutions, providing workplace solutions to the entrepreneurs, executives, and management staff. He's also a media personality and co-host of the radio show On Word, which is a black-owned radio station in Philadelphia. This gentleman at one point also interned for, if you recall, the first female senator, black female senator in the United States government. At one point, Carl Mosley Braun, he was interned with her.
Really?
Yes, a gentleman. When you see him, you believe you're on the basketball court and you're the point guard, because he's that tower of a physical individual. and to avail himself to run for political office, I think those are some of the attributes that would be necessary to win. And whom are we talking about? A child of Jamaican parentage, Donavan S. West. We welcome him now to the Bridge and Irie Jam to talk about his political aspirations. Good day, Donavan.
Good day. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here amongst you gentlemen. And what's up to everyone that's listening? I'm excited. Let's talk about it.
Donavan West, when you hear Irwine Clare, yes, remember that both Pearnel Childs and myself are experienced politicians, but flattery will get him everywhere, you know.
No. Let me tell you something. It's a different thing. My colleague is saying flattering. If I had somebody like Irwine Clare to campaign with me,
would never lose,
as he's now campaigning with our friend there. You are a winner.
Donavan West.
You don't know.
Listen to him. What you running for, Donavan?
I'm running for city council at large here in Philadelphia.
Great.
And at large really means that instead of you running for a particular district or section of the city, you cover the whole city.
Okay, I learned about the at-large areas when your two colleagues from Texas were so unfairly prejudiced a couple of weeks ago and so vindicated, as it turns out.
Tennessee,
so, yes. In Tennessee. So this is good. When the election is in November, as usual?
No, this is for the primary, which is in May 16th.
Okay, fine. Right. So why are you running? What's your background? What makes you undertake the arduous task of public life? We know something about that.
Well, some people say you must be mad, Donovan. You were living a peaceful life until you decided to run this race. But the truth of the matter, I was convicted. What's missing from city council is someone like myself who has a background in serving people.
Yes.
I've been a COO of a faith-based, community-based organization called People for People. I ran that organization for over 16 years in different capacities. The school, the charter school, the preschool, the fatherhood program, pregnancy center, different parcels of land. So intricately, a part of a team that did a lot of community development, partnerships with organizations like the Salvation Army and Project Home. So I was in the community in a number of different capacities, providing service to not just one particular audience, right, but to every part of the family by way of our president, CEO, former, player, tailback with the Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles, Reverend Dr. Herb Lusk.
Whoa. So you know the street?
I know the street real well.
Look, okay. Now, many of us, who share your zeal and your conviction, we wonder when we get into office whether we have blunted our own intentions and aspirations, because being in office gives you certain access, but oftentimes it's frustrating in getting things done in ways that when you were in those organizations that you've told us about, you probably had easier passage. Have you thought of that?
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I had to do a gap analysis, and so
gap analysis.
There was So the gap analysis is identifying where the holes are, where the gaps, the cracks, the chasms are as it relates to City Hall. And then I also realized something, that this election there will be freshman and sophomore legislators that will account for 75% of the body of City Council. Oh. So 12 out of 17 okay, will be freshmen and sophomore. What does that mean? That means that there are fertile grounds for actual, development when it comes to new ways for us to look at City Council, new ways to even define what City Council at large does and their scope of work and their impact on the overall decisions that are being made in City Hall. So I'm excited for those reasons. But I would agree, if it was more the same, I wouldn't be in the race. I wouldn't be in the race. I'm a very mild-mannered person. I wasn't always that way, but what I do is I do know what my limitations are. And when I'm somewhere where I feel like I'm wasting my time, it's just harder for me to act right. So Indeed. I want to make sure that I'm in a space and place where I can actually be a part of change, lead in many ways.
Indeed.
And that's why
one of the things that we should also let our listeners be aware of too, when we think Philadelphia, considered the sixth largest city in the United States, with the impact of the African American community and the development taken there. In fact, it is known as the Ed and Med City. What do I mean by that? Education and medicine. I mean, that is a core products out of Philadelphia. And so, and embedded in all of that, in the African American community, is a component of the Jamaican Caribbean component, because they play a critical role there. But also, too, gentlemen, and this is where I want to point to Donovan, when you look at the gentrification taking place, it would appear that the elusive inclusion of the black experience in that seems to be, widening. Your role in the position that you seek, how do you plan to bring that gap closer?
Well, I'm happy to hear that that you're tuned in, and I meant that pun on purpose. That you're tuned into what some of the I couldn't help myself.
You're good,
but you're tuned in on what some of the challenges are, right? And so it comes down to someone who has the experience, like myself. When work with People for People. One of the major areas that was under development, Francisville, Fairmount area of the city. There were a lot of people in those areas, those that have been there for generations, that had some serious concerns. And so we talked a lot about what resources do they have access to? How can they also participate as small developers in terms of whether or not you want to move? What is it that you can do to your place in terms of getting capital loans and, access to actual capital, having relationships and leveraging those relationships with CDFIs, community development financial institutions, or also traditional banks that have to diversify their portfolio, and being the bridge. You saw that other pun? I had to. I couldn't help myself. So being the bridge. Well, I mean, this. You didn't think you guys were going to be the only one to have the fun, right? Oh,
the guy's doing well. This man is doing well. He's going to win.
Sign him up.
But let me ask you something. Are you bridging white young people with black young people in that scenario?
Yes, it's extremely important in order for you to actually establish any change. And this goes back to even, when we start talking about civil rights, it wasn't just 100% of black people that were running down to certain places and spaces and occupying their businesses and restaurants and asking for change. It was their white counterparts that also helped to create a more compelling argument. And so we have to do the same thing. We have to identify those who have similar issues and concerns as it relates to making sure that we have quality of life. And what I mean by that, when you move into a certain space and you don't acknowledge the people that have been there, you already know you're asking for a problem. And we whether you're in the States or you're in New Kingston, you understand what I mean.
Yes.
You have to make sure that you create a certain sense of value, and it starts with me looking at you and saying, I see you. You matter. You have a voice, and I'm listening. So you have to get into that kind of conversation, and that pipeline of development starts with understanding that the people that are there in those spaces, they have value, and also more importantly, to mature your living arrangements, you need to have diversity. I've been talking diversity for over 20 years. My first business was Multimedia MD. The MD stood for Marketing Diversity. So before DEI was thrown around, this sexy term, I was already back in those trenches talking about how to make sure we infuse diversity in all that we do. As a giant Jamaican, you already know, from out of many, that's what we are, right? We are many. We have different faces. And we take full pride in that. And so as I'm in the States and I traverse the different states, the different sections of the city, everywhere else, I'm saying the same thing. I bring that global perspective. As a matter of fact, I just did a business and tech conference in Ghana at the World Trade Center with some partners of mine in December.
Really? Yes.
And so for many people, they're like, why are you here in Philadelphia? I said, what do you mean? Everywhere I am, we're going to talk diversity. We're going to start looking at this way in systemic ways in terms of how do we engage all cultures, because all cultures need to coexist, period. Even if we all go back to Jamaica, we still need to do business on a global scale. Or if we go back to Africa, we still need to do business on a global scale. And this is the way that I want to impart, a shift to the culture overall.
Irwine, this is important. You know why?
Indeed.
My concern is that many of the let's use the cliches, the progressive forces that we hear and read of and see in the United States and elsewhere, they do not understand that in order to win the war, they have to reach out, they have to be inclusive.
Yeah.
That is the nature of the demographic.
Indeed.
And it is the nature, and there's a certain morality to that.
Indeed.
Now, this man is being very clear. He's setting his sights in ways that are going to draw people of different types to him. Everybody knows what he looks like and what his first constituency will be, but that is a convergence that seems to elude a lot of our politics, eh?
Indeed. And something before Donavan, and one of the things we should note here too, he finds himself too in a very interesting position, because not only what he looks like, but there is a degree of respectability for the Jamaican/Caribbean community. And I think that is an added component that he takes to the table, because we have seen significant changes within that community, within the Philadelphia area over the years, and how they have managed to co-partner and form relationships with other groups. So that's another asset that Donavan brings to the table that can bear fruit in the long term for Jamaicans and Jamaica by itself as well.
What's your Jamaican connection?
Here it goes now.
Oh, what do you mean?
Where you come from?
I hope he's not going to come to say he's west from St. Ann, because that would finish it.
Go ahead, Donavan.
West from Kingston, but it's in my blood. Mom, dad, my sister's still in Westmoreland right now as we speak.
Really?
I have cousins in yeah. And my father and my grandmother are, they're in Canada right now, but my sister is still in Westmoreland, and I'm there pretty often.
Nice.
I usually go to Mo Bay, but
yes.
I also check in, of course, in Kingston.
Well, no, that's good.
Spanish
so you're well rooted.
Ronnie and Pearnel. One of the things that we should look to, is that when you look at the relationship between Philadelphia and Jamaica, I think of a very powerful family, and Donovan, who I'm talking about, the Lomax family, and their interests in Jamaica and the role they played in Philadelphia, because they were very instrumental in building out the relationship with Jamaica and Philadelphia, which we still have not yet leveraged sufficiently. Last year we had the Prime Minister in town, and the hope is still that we can capture the omnipresence and the position when we think of this weekend that we have 500 athletes from Jamaica coming into Philadelphia, and the city will be transformed as a result of Jamaica. There are lots of low-hanging fruits that people listening right now in Jamaica and businesses and authorities responsible for Jamaica must be leveraging. We are yet to get to that point. We're working on it.
Like what, Irwine?
Absolutely.
The whole opportunity of trade, the whole opportunity of further building out the tourism property, the whole idea of what it is that Philadelphia is doing so successfully in education and medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we have so many strategically placed persons there, are we leveraging them? Okay. That's what we're talking about.
Well, that's key, and I don't know.
It.
Yeah. Well, can that be part of your remit, Donavan West? Do you see that connection being important?
Not a question. No, it's not a question. It's not a question at all. I am a member of Jamaica Trade Council.
Really?
I am a person. Yeah. So shout out to Donovan Bailey. Shout out to
Chris Chaplin.
I also advise honorary yes.
Good.
Chris Chaplin. I heard someone murmur just now.
Yeah.
I advise Chris Chaplin, and we've been friends and colleagues and partners, soldiers in this war in terms of engaging other parties, especially as it relates to development and trade. Is extremely important. Education, talking about how do we educate our entrepreneurs in a way that they understand to move away from this myth that businesses are tax burdens, but really they can become tax shelters if we do this right. Working with the African and the African Caribbean diaspora also, Akana, we got Jofi over at Akana that we work with. There's also Stan Strauder, there's Janie Blackwell. There's other people that we leverage that are our partners. And so I'm extremely excited because these aren't new relationships. These are existing relationships that I get to leverage. Like your producer leverages their relationships to get you great guests, right? So this is what we do.
Listen,
see what I did just there?
We did. We saw it. We need to make sure that we're highlighting people of Caribbean roots who are doing well and use that as an example. That's a project for us, Irwine Clare. As we take the break, when we come back, I want to ask Donavan West, what is the scope of jurisdiction of the City Council? How does it relate to other levels of governance? And what are the priorities, were he to be elected, as we hope he will be, to that seat at large? Soon come. This is The Bridge. This is a Global Connection with Irie Jam. Soon come. Thanks for being with us on the Public Eye. This is the Bridge 99 in Jamaica, linking for the Global Connection with Irwine Clare at Irie Jam, talking with Donavan West, a man with Jamaican roots running for City Council in Philadelphia. Donavan, what's the remit, what's the jurisdiction of the City Council? Are you local government?
Local government. We're local, so we just have just the city itself. However, this city is the engine of the state. So in many ways, We drive when it comes to commerce and to overall activity, to tourism, hospitality, all those things. We lead in all those different spaces. The only space we probably do not lead in would be agriculture in terms of trade. It's a state that has a huge trade. You could say trade lines for cocoa.
Probably Randy wouldn't ask you this.
Yes.
But I was saying, you have your poll list, right? You know how many people is in your division. What is the racial situation? And the black more or white more?
More black than white. More black than white. So we have the majority black in terms of candidates. In terms of the city is 44% black itself. So it's a majority black city as well.
And then too, gentlemen, you're running a Democratic primary, so we should clear that year. You'll be running along.
Let's be clear.
Yes.
Let's be clear.
Yes, sir.
But let's oh boy, the man full up on today.
Yeah, man. Yes.
Listen, but
we can't help ourselves, man.
Listen, West will not catch you. Listen to me now. Many Jamaicans listening in will not know what a primary is. What's a primary? We only know about election.
A primary is what you would call the it's a screen. It's a preliminary, if you will, before you actually get to the general elections in November. So this is what from this point, you elect out of the pool. Right now there are 28. That's right, 28 candidates for at large. Wow. And so I'm one of the 28. Of the 28, 3 are incumbents, and the other remaining 25 are newbies.
And it's for one at-large seat, or are there more?
Oh no, you get to choose 5. There are 5 at-large seats for the Democrat seats.
Sure. Okay, so that's 5 out of 28. Well,
and it is also safe to say that whoever comes out of this pool going into the general election from the Democratic side would
likely prevail.
Will prevail.
Yeah. They will prevail. They will prevail. And I'm number 68 on the ballot poll. The lever is number 68.
Okay, and, tell us.
I'm doing well. I've gotten some great endorsements. Different organizations, the unions, the carpenters, Labor District Council,
great,
longshoremen. So it's going really well.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ronnie.
I was wondering what's the percentage of poll that's likely? Do people in Jamaica, we don't check for local government elections, and it's a very low poll. Is it different in Philadelphia?
It's not too much different, but what's different about this particular election is that you have it's very unique in that you have a new mayor.
Mayor. Yes, brings out the vote. Yes. Hold on, Donovan. Ronnie, you see, whenever it's not just on the city council level there, I think Philadelphia is also having a very vibrant mayoralty race, so that will draw a lot more people to the polls. So you'll find that the voter uptake more than likely will be higher than normal.
That's
true.
That's good.
With over six people from city council running for mayor, it really stirred up the city in terms of paying attention to what's happening next. And in addition to that, you have also the president of the city council has retired. So you have a new mayor, a new president of the city council. So there's a lot of change.
Explain to us then, how does the president of the city council relate to the mayor? Is it a different jurisdiction, or one is higher than the other?
You have so the city of Philadelphia is a mayor-strong city, meaning that the mayor has the majority of the responsibilities as it relates to administrative and jurisdiction. But you have then the president of the city council, who is a person that is represents the body of city council, and is the person that is closest to the mayor. And then you have city council, who has also the ability to override the mayor should the mayor propose things that are not collectively seen as in the interest of the city.
Okay, that. Boy, you people have checks and balances. We need to remember. So tell me now, where does the city council get its money from?
It gets its money from the state, from the feds, and so you have some federal money right now that's still lingering, coming out of COVID, and then of course the state you have the state budget, and the city. We proposed what our budget would be. Currently, the most recent budget proposal by the mayor was for $6.1 billion US. It's up by 500 million from before. It was originally $5.6 billion.
Okay. So wow! So that's from taxes on city taxes or state taxes.
Yeah, proportionately.
I see.
A portion of it is taxes, and then of course a portion of it is allocation of funds from the state.
Really, this is I'm interested in the complexity of how governmental structures are crafted,
especially what we're going through constitutional reform in Jamaica.
Well, yes, and that they in fact interlock, but they work in this situation.
Oh yes.
And would I be premature in saying that the city council is a good thing, a good post in itself, but also it is an occasion for possible upward mobility?
It better be.
Well, I got you.
Run it. After the intro he got, it better be.
Well, all I know, he has a good campaign on it. And look, while you are on the bridge, with the diaspora, with people in Philadelphia listening, and with Ronnie and myself making an appeal to them through the bridge that you are a good candidate as far as we're concerned, and we hope that you're going to stay up there with them.
That's I know something else though. So while we occupy the world next week in Philadelphia, we'll make sure that we here Team Jamaica, because non-partisan as we are, but we will make sure that Donavan is front and center in whatever we do at the pen relays come next week.
And as Calvin Coolidge once said, vote early, vote often.
Yes, indeed.
Donavan West, we wish you the very best. We celebrate Jamaicans and people of Jamaican origin who are doing their best in their countries, and particularly when they offer themselves for public service.
Indeed.
Don't spurn your roots, sir. We don't think you will, and we look forward to very good news coming out of your primary election and beyond. Thanks again for your company.
And check this out. He can't leave the country out of him. Donavan West from Westmoreland.
Will you say that?
Lord, boy.
Lord bless you. Thanks a lot. All the best to you.
Can't go nowhere.
All the best, Donavan.
Blessings.
Gentlemen, before you go, we would very much like Ronnie just give us an overview, update, because we here in the diaspora are just as interested in constitutional reform. We don't have a lot of conversations taking place around it. I know persons like Ambassador Curtis Ward is conducting some series of Zoom chats and all that, but we're just as interested, and we have been hearing some excerpts coming out. Share with our audience, sir, some of the things that you are privy to, and that would have been of concerns to us here.
Well, first of all, I encourage all our listeners to subscribe to Ambassador Curtis Ward's efforts, ongoing efforts. As you know, he's been a guest on this program several times, and he has a perspective, and those that he has brought together can add to that on the issue of constitutional reform. I think the first thing Pearnel and I will agree on is that there needs to be a far more focused effort to bring the diaspora in on the discussion and the process of constitutional reform. The minister, Pearnel, please help me as I make this narrative. The minister says that the committee has had 5 meetings so far. Regretfully, I haven't seen the minutes of those meetings, and the meetings haven't been open to the press, which again is very worrying for me. And I can't imagine what they're saying that shouldn't be exposed to the public. But be that as it may, that there has been a measure of consensus that the priority now is to move towards the creation of a republic in place of the monarchy, and that there should be a ceremonial president rather than an executive president. And they seem to have at least agreed in principle that the choice of that ceremonial president ought to be on the nomination of the Prime Minister after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition, and then securing a 2/3 vote in both houses of Parliament sitting together. And there's some disagreement. I certainly disagree with that. But there seems to be details to be ironed out there. I think the main point I want to ask your listeners to encourage, very politely but very insistently, is that we must hear everything.
Transparency. One of the things that I must say that when listening to the minister about that there was agreement amongst the group, and that is good. That is good, yes, but I think it goes further than that. We also want to know what are some of the contentious situations, so that we can have more, transparency on that. Just to say that they are green and moving forward, that's a kumbaya moment. I think that the transparency and access to what's taking place in these discussions is critical to the authenticity.
Why not make everything public?
Somebody just said me to ask you this. You are elected by the people. The people elect you and say, go and do this business on my behalf.
No.
Run my country on my behalf.
Excuse me.
But they weren't elected to do that.
These people are not elected to do that. There are a couple of elected persons in that group, but the majority of them are not elected. They are chosen by the Prime Minister.
I'm not talking this. Because you have a broad feeling that in everything, the people must have their voice. But then the people elect me.
No, when it comes to the Constitution, it's different. I accept delegated authority.
When it comes to the Constitution, it's different.
Yeah.
But hold on now. How many people can really understand and write a constitution?
No, very few. But then what you do is collect the views of the country and the diaspora, and then you give it to the experts to write it.
And we're getting to wrap up from my side here. All we're asking for is for more transparency, and whether you think I don't understand it or not, it is still my right to have access to it. That's what I was saying.
Yes.
But you must, if it's a constitution, you must have access.
No.
Yeah, but what I am concerned with
the deliberations.
I'm concerned with what Ronnie is flirting with, I would say.
You started carnival. With flirting.
Let everybody write the constitution.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
No, not at all.
Anyway, gentlemen, you guys can continue the deliberation there. I have to leave you.
Listen, till next time.
All the best.
I'll give you a call.
All the best.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm not. I'm not a Luddite or a populist. Well, first of all, there's one simple thing that I'm saying.
Yes.
Every word that goes on in that Constitutional Reform Committee ought to be televised. Every word.
How many people you think would see that?
Doesn't matter, sir.
Once it's televised, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. You know why? It's a medium of record. And it is more than it's not a popularity contest. What it does is to establish a covenant, and establish the nature of that covenant is that this business is everybody's business. It's not a few people's business.
But Randy,
Constitution making is not the job of experts.
How many people you think in Jamaica really interested in the Constitution?
But if they aren't, we have a problem, because the Constitution says whether you live or you die. It says whether you thrive or you diminish, and therefore it is extremely important.
Yes, but how many people would not worry if Pearnel, Charles, and Ronnie Thwaites is
no, but I couldn't.
part of making the Constitution on their behalf?
No, that's a delegation that we shouldn't. You and I, or whoever you think of, shouldn't take onto ourselves. We can distill, we can discuss, we can refine, we can modify,
and then put it to the people,
and both get it from the people and eventually put it to the people. We are intermediaries. We are, let's continue the pun, the bridge. Why? I ask you to answer me one question. Why aren't the minutes, why aren't the proceedings of this committee open to everybody?
But have you tried to get the minutes? My
understanding is the minutes are not available.
They're not available?
No, not even to the committee members. That's my understanding. Not yet.
Well, let us check that out.
Okay, but even if there were, they should be public. It's not their business alone. It's not. It's ours.
Yes, but Ronnie, I am worried about.
We should be discussing.
I'm worried about you.
Mm-hmm.
And
if they do it that way, and keep it as a star chamber, yes.
No, I'm not saying. I'm worried about whether or not we should do the thing on behalf of the people and get it to the people, rather than saying to the people, you elect us, are your leaders.
No, you're not, no election come into this, sir.
But all
the election goes as far as the understanding the desire to change the constitution. Yes, beyond that, it is the people's input that you must take. If you're a good elected person.
That's what you are going to have an election.
After you decide that you, on the time frame, that you are going to put a bill before Parliament next month.
Yes.
As the minister says.
So what is
when the majority of the people haven't got a clue what's going on? Wrong.
They're saying that once a committee has decided on certain things,
we gotta go.
They should publish it.
While they're doing it, we want to hear what their reasoning is. No need for delay.
We need to come back.
When we come back, this is the Bridge 99 FM. Soon come. Thanks for being with us on the Public Eye. This is the Bridge 99 FM. The Honorable Pearnel, Charles and I conduct this program every Wednesday. We talk about the things to do with Jamaica. We link it to the diaspora, and we also talk about things locally. And we try very much to come to a clear understanding of what's happening, contending views, and we put it forward to you to conform your lives and to make up your own minds. Later on in this segment of the program, Mr. Herbert McKenzie, who is the Deputy Public Defender of Jamaica, is going to join us. But in the meanwhile, so here's the situation. You're a trade unionist, and the issue now of the security guards seems not to be resolved. They're being given this contract while arrangements are being made to treat them as employees. They were always employees, in my view. What is the role of government?
No, government has no role in that.
Okay.
Hold on. I am an employee.
Uh-huh.
Several of my colleagues want you as a manager to talk to 3 or 4 of us. So we call in a union. If you're going to have a poll, you have to submit to the Ministry of Labour an audited audit of your members. Okay? The Ministry of Labour have nothing to do until you prove to them that you represent those workers.
Poor workers.
Huh?
Poor workers.
Well, what's the alternative?
The alternative is to defend people who can't defend themselves.
But hold on, Ronnie. If that was
know what it takes to bring a case in the Supreme Court, sir?
No, but...
You know what it is to get a poll for union representation?
Yes, I know. I've been for 50 years.
And you know that it's very, very difficult.
But what I also know is the opposite of what you're talking about.
What you do? Tell me the instances.
What is the opposite? If
the opposite is conciliation.
No, hold on. But that conciliation comes after that.
No. Why not before?
You cannot come before.
Why?
You have to say to the Ministry of Labour, I have been asked by a group of workers to represent them. They are now my members.
But you know that won't happen.
So?
You know that won't happen.
But it has been happening.
No. It has been happening in certain instances. But you know that in the private security industry, in the hotels, in the BPO industry, in the major areas of working class employment in this country, you cannot bring a union into the picture.
Well, then,
you cannot. If you do that, every man jack lose their job.
Oh, right. Hold on now then. So
that's your experience too.
So that now is something that you and I, as parliamentarians, have to go to Parliament with a resolution.
Yeah, so the union, the workers know.
No. That's how minimum wage came.
No, but I'm sorry to tell you.
That's how all of these things go to Parliament.
I have to go remind you. Yes. I proposed in a resolution in Parliament that the business processing outsourcing industry should be the subject of a joint industrial council.
Yes.
Yes. And that, of course, was one of my resolutions, the 23 of them that never saw the light of day.
Well, hold on right now, because
it's not happening.
No, you're on the right line.
Yes.
Where there are hundreds of employers for the guards. The easiest way to do it is for the government to set up an industrial
A joint industrial
council.
So why the minister doesn't do that now?
No, the minister is, hold on, Randy. It's not a dictatorial thing like you say.
It's not a dictatorial thing.
Yes, the minister cannot just get up and say, I'm setting up a joint industrial.
What does he need to do? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, the unions need to.
The unions have no balls. The only one who has any strength in it is one who is not even representing them.
Who is that?
Vincent Morrison.
No, but Morrison is well aware of the procedure.
How do you get a joint industrial council?
They're well aware of the procedure to get the government.
Who the government really defend?
The government defends the people.
No, not in this instance.
Oh, you
not
mean
in this
the security guard?
Yeah.
Because is that the government business?
Of course it is.
No.
You were the one telling me earlier about when you vote and you get representation. What does representation mean if these tens of thousands of security guards who are in an unsettled employment situation now, yes? Should never have happened, but it is the case. Surely there needs to be conciliation, and the conciliation is best led by those who have state power, and telling the workers that they must organize themselves in circumstances where you know it is impossible for them to do so. Their predicament will be worse than what it is now. Yes, or that they must bring a case.
So how are you going to get the employers to accept and come to the table?
Let
500 employers.
No, you have 72.
72?
Yes.
That's 72 employers. Employ thousands of workers.
The same way that the issue of their status as employees rather than contractors was decided by one test case. Yes? Once the ministry says, look here, I want to talk to you, let's settle this in the interest of the common good, your businesses, the security of the state, and the benefit of the workers. What I'm going to do, stay outside and say them now come?
Well, the government have more than 50% of the workers. So the government can say to those who are
right.
taking a contract with them.
But they're in front of the very ministry this morning and every other ministry and every government department. They're standing up there still doing their work while they've been handed a contract to say that I'm only temporary now for 3 months and I must give up all of my previous rights.
What are the previous rights that was given up?
The previous rights are the rights that inure to them as employees, which is what the court has said they are.
Hold on, Randy. What? Hold on.
The court never said that they are employees from September last year, you know. It said that they're, given the nature of their work and the state of the law, they are to be considered employees.
But the state cannot dictate.
No, the state can't. No, I'm not asking the state to dictate. The law
cannot dictate to people who are employed 30 years ago that they owe them back money.
No, but
they owe them this, they owe them that.
Then the law. Wait a minute. So the law can dictate. But you should read the judgment because the judgment is quite clear.
I haven't read the judgment, so
okay. But apart from that, what the state certainly can do is to say it's no business of ours. You go settle it on your own, which is effect. But that's in net effect. If you won't intervene on their behalf.
No, the state is saying for me to intervene, there are certain procedures that you have to carry to the table.
Yeah, well, I say
you have to say to the minister, these workers have employed me to speak on their behalf.
Which you know can't happen.
It can't happen, Randy.
No, it can't.
Randy,
it can't.
When I was there, Vincent Morris and myself carry hundreds of them together, and they wouldn't join.
Grant you, but that may well be the case. They wouldn't join. Okay, so what they must do? Eat cake?
No.
Listen, man.
No, but you take yourself as the employer of those guards.
Yes.
And I come to you now and say, listen, man, you have been employing them guards for the past 30 years.
Yes.
And I am now saying this is what you should give them. Retroactive to all who dead, who gone, who applied, and who is still there.
That is an extreme situation.
No,
indeed. The law. My view is that the law allows for that. But what you do is negotiate something which is reasonable, which is affordable, but which is just. No, what you're doing is
just to who?
Just to everybody.
You can't get just to the employer and the employee.
So, okay, no. So you're saying it is all right. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
Negotiating.
Yes.
And that's what the government is not leading.
Because
there's no negotiation.
The trade union system in Jamaica does not give the government that right to call in anybody and say.
So listen to our workers. Hear what you're getting from the dean of the trade union movement in Jamaica.
But I tell you,
you're deaf on your own.
No. You have to do certain things.
Wait,
you're an attorney. So how do you carry a man to court unless he comes to you and give his case?
This is not court.
Why is that court?
This is not court at all.
The IDT is the highest labor court in the country.
The people come before. There's no doubt what their claim is.
Why?
There's no doubt what their claim is. Their claim is you can't do us this way after so many years of service. We understand that you won't have back money for us for everything, but we want to sit down and talk with you and determine
Answer this one question to me. What would they get if they leave tomorrow morning?
If who leaves tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Who?
Before this case.
Nothing.
Court.
Absolutely nothing. And that was hugely unjust. That was why the issue went to court. That was why people in Parliament, including...
Well, let me hit you with one.
No. That's why we brought it up time and time again and pointed out that this situation was unfair. And it goes to the very heart of how we relate to each other as citizens. Right. We must stop taking advantage of each other.
Ronnie, yes, for the security guards. There are thousands of other workers who are listening to us right now.
But then,
who are not a member of union.
No, but then you understand.
And they're not getting anything different from what it is.
That only makes the situation worse, Mr. Charles.
No. Because they have the privilege of minimum wage.
The privilege. What did this gentleman just say?
No.
Privilege of minimum wage.
No. Listen to the point I make.
Okay.
I said there are thousands of other workers who are not in the union,
yes,
who are covered by some government situation like minimum wage.
Okay. Social security of some sort.
Baby business. What do you call that? Maternity leave. And you have paternity leave. And you have all of these people who coming up with all of these various things. And the employer is asking who going to pay.
Of course. Well, listen, very, very, very clear question. But let me tell you something. We must really defend the workers of this country, you know. We can't lift them up like that. And Ronnie, that's what's happening.
The workers
right
are coming from a very far place.
And so what does that mean?
And listen, so don't say we must defend them.
No.
They need to come together and let us defend them.
Which you know is we're really being circular now. We have to stop. But it is impossible for them to come together.
Why not?
Because if the moment they ask Pearnel Childs of BITU to organize them, yes, they are out of their jobs. Why do you think they refuse to join you? Because they know that any effort to unionize themselves will mean immediate termination.
And that's the immediate intervention of any government. And if any employer lay off 100 workers because they join a union, immediately that's a court case.
But it would be nice, but it doesn't work that way.
What do you mean
it doesn't work that way.
Where do you know any employer can lay off hundreds of workers because they join a union?
Okay, sir. All right. Well, we really have to finish this one. I have another point to raise with you before this. Okay. But let me just tell the workers, the security guard, you're deep on your own. Yes?
That's what?
You're deep on your own.
No, you're not on your own. You need to follow the direction
of the minister
set out by
unions.
Lord. Vin is trying to think.
Who? Vin? Vin is a voice crying in the wilderness. He should get OJ. Seriously, let me worry about something else. Yesterday, in the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, it was revealed. Now, I have the highest regard for Mr. Dunstan Brand, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
And, of course, for the Auditor General, Mrs. Monroe Ellis.
Yes.
Yes? But it was revealed that the Ministry of Health has not been able to provide accounts for $500 billion over 9 years. Why?
Not been able to provide what?
Accounts. the accounts that ministries are obliged to have.
What did they provide?
They haven't provided accounts to the satisfactory of the Auditor General.
Yes, but you listen to the Permanent Secretary.
I did, and I understand.
You listen to Mrs.
No. As far as the COVID expenditures are concerned,
yes,
I remember, and you will remember,
yes,
the emergency.
Yes,
and I would be prepared to overlook some of those procedures.
So we're on the same road.
No, we're not, because that goes as far as the COVID money is concerned.
Yes.
But the bigger picture that I'm speaking of,
yes,
is the fact that the ministry, who has taxpayers' money worth $500 billion over 9 years. Okay, that comes from PNP administration too, you know.
No,
yes?
That's the party thing.
Well, indeed, but people will.
But is this what the Permanent Secretary is defending?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's defending it in the sense that he says, look, we don't have the staff, and it's very difficult and all that. That's what I understand of him. But what I'm pointing out is that public money can't spend that way, Pearnel.
What bothers me that when you say it the way you are saying it, and others are saying it, it makes it look as if somebody is thieving the money.
No, but because you don't have accounts doesn't mean that somebody is thieving it. But it opens the door to that. It opens the possibility. That's why you have an Auditor General. That's why you have a rule that in any enterprise, public or private, that you must have audited accounts. And secondly, remember that that's a problem that you and I have faced when we were in government, when we were in Parliament, because time after time, yes, how many ministries, agencies, and departments don't file reports? Don't file financial reports, and they keep on getting the money. And
you brought a resolution to me to ask.
Sir.
Hundreds of reports have come to Parliament. Yeah. Who just put on the table and go into the garbage? None of you ever.
What does that say about the representation? They pay 63 of us, including your good self and myself, for a time, yes, and make us superintendents over $1 trillion worth of public money. And when we get reports about it, all we do is throw it away. We don't even print it anymore. Okay, and then when ministries spend and spend and spend and spend and don't give any account, okay,
and that is not to say the money has not been spent properly.
It doesn't say, nobody doesnn't prove that it isn't. Huh? And in fact, it doesn't prove that it's not. And the public listens.
And it doesn't prove that it does.
No, it does. It's not conclusive.
No, okay.
Yes, the fact that the Prime Minister's personal accounts have not been certified doesn't mean that he has done something wrong, but he still should do it. So what I'm saying is that in the midst of all of the things that we're doing, we need, in the public service, we need systems of accountability that are better than what we have.
Let me ask you one last question
of productivity.
before you leave. One last question.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to look back and last year when we had an emergency of this virus?
Of course.
And to say that there was something that had to skip before.
Yes, no, undoubtedly.
So you agree with the
if it was
with the Permanent Secretary?
No, I'm sympathetic to the Permanent Secretary as far as the urgency of the COVID expenditures are concerned.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't say he oughtn't to have done certain things. I don't know. But I'm sympathetic because I remember the urgency when you had to get people housed in different ways, quarantined.
We have done well.
But that is not that's not the issue that I'm raising.
Yeah.
I'm raising a systemic issue with the example of the Ministry of Health that hasn't submitted accounts for 9 years, $500 billion, and saying that the way we spend an account for public money needs attention.
Well, so that people can feel confident. Unite on this.
Yes.
That we need, you and I are in full agreement that we need to account for public funds. Yeah. And that there are records which indicate how that account must be done.
Yes.
So we can close on that.
And do it on time.
Oh, Lord, Ronnie.
You have to. How you mean?
Even if you don't do it on time, it is finally done and recorded.
Yeah, but if you go America, you can you jolly well file your tax on time. You know, if you know that, you know, no excuse. You have to do that. So it's not beyond us. If we can go jump carnival, we can get the accounts on time.
They don't pay overtime running.
Oh, what?
And some people have to go and carry home their children from high
Yes,
school.
sir. Oh, my Lord. Listen to this gentleman. This is a public eye.
I hope you don't believe that. I hope you see the sarcasm in it.
I do.
Oh.
Talking the cheek, you soon bite it. This is Bridge 99 FM. We soon come back. Mr. McKenzie, soon come. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, broadcasting to the diaspora, the Jamaican people all over the world. The Honorable Pearnel, Charles, and myself are the hosts, and we welcome Mr. Herbert McKenzie, the Deputy Public Defender. Hello, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure indeed.
Good. Mr. McKenzie, there was an issue recently ventilated in Parliament, I'm sure you were there, where the passage of information between the Jamaica Constabulary and yourself didn't appear to be as clear-cut and as regular, normative as you would want it to be. I heard Mrs. Reed Cameron, your public defender, your superior, complaining of this. What's the nature of it? What's the background? And has it been corrected yet?
All right, let's start with the end first. It has not been corrected, or it is in the process of being corrected.
Boy, I am so relieved.
But let's get to the background of it. Contrary to the tone and tenor of some of the media reports, it was the Commissioner of Police who decided that the information was not supposed to be shared. It seems to have been the decision of a low-tier level of management within the organization who took that decision unbeknownst to him. We know him. We have never had a problem with Mr. Commissioner Anderson.
Right.
Sharing information with us. We take him at his word, and we have always held him in high esteem, as was demonstrated in the 2018 state of emergency in St. James, when all information from that division were shared with us at his instruction. So we don't blame him. We have nothing against him. And once that came to his knowledge, he decided that, look, write and tell us exactly what you want, and we provided it, and we have done that. In fact, they reached out to us even after Parliament to say what exactly we want. We documented that, sent it to them, and we're expecting the response.
Mr. McKenzie, I accept that entirely, and thank you for opening with that clarity. However, as you know, sir, that when you are in charge of an organization, no matter that you never know what was going wrong, you are responsible.
And you accept it, it's yours,
yes.
But
so
but you cannot correct it when you know.
Well, you should.
You can't be held responsible for what you don't know.
No, sir. Pearnel, one moment, Mr. Mack. Mr. Charles understands very clearly the canon of ministerial responsibility is that you are responsible whether you knew it or not. You're supposed to know it. You're supposed to.
But I've never accepted that.
Okay.
I can't know what I don't know. I can't be responsible for what I never knew.
Well, I'm sorry, sir.
Once it's brought to my attention, it becomes my responsibility.
Right.
But if I never know that rain going to fall, I know it up.
It's not that way. We're not talking about rain falling. Never mind. It's
go on, Mr. Mack.
What I'd love to know is...
He has accepted it. I think what Mr. Charles is talking about, Mr. Thwaites, is constructive knowledge. Put aside the legal technicalities of constructive knowledge, actual knowledge. The Commission has accepted it, and we have corrected
and we accept that.
And
we don't have any problem there. Tell me, now, what is the nature of the information, though, that you require from the police?
All right,
you defend us, you're called public defender. You are the only person we have to look to when trouble takes us.
The information we want is the same information that we asked for in the 2018 state of emergency and which we got. And these are the detainees, period of detention, age ranges, how long it takes to process. Those who went before this emergency powers review tribunal, number of persons released, address from where they were picked up, and all those information in the raw, unadulterated data for us to make our analyses and present our findings.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you that that information is hard to get sometimes. It shouldn't be, but the fact is that in the state of emergency, in states of emergency, to my certain knowledge from the past, people are scraped up, and you don't even know their name. Them just hold you and take you in.
True, but to be fair to the St. James Division, they were actually documenting these things.
Very good.
They may have been scraped up, but usually the name, the time, date, and place at which they were picked up.
Yeah.
And we could never have faulted them. They did a fairly good job in documenting.
So in respect of kudos to St. James for doing what they were supposed to do. What about the others now? You see, so that's why some of us are afraid of these states of emergency, because they don't really work how they're supposed to work, and the only people who can help us is people like you.
We were using the St. James model, and by and large, from Western Jamaica, we got it. A few of the divisions had glitches in how they actually gathered the information.
Right.
But the thing with the St. James was that, insofar as sheer numbers, it overwhelmed all the other divisions, rather.
Right.
So the information we were getting from them, we could compare to, say, information from Westmoreland, and then say back to Westmoreland, hey, look, you didn't provide so-and-so, please provide it.
Right. What do you do with this information when you get it?
Let me tell you what we did in the St. James's case and what we plan to do with this one. Because it was such voluminous information. What we did, the previous public defender paid for us to attend a course in a software that social scientists used at the University of the West Indies, and we got a crash course in it. We never became masters of the use of that software, but what it allowed us to do is to actually give the specialists at UWI, specialist statistician and math in the software, the information.
So they could process
tell him
it?
What we want, and they could statistically analyze it for us under our own supervision.
Right.
And we could say, no, that's not how we want it, this is how we want it.
Yes.
And in that way, we were able to get the data statistically analyzed in a highly professional way, and we made our comments and findings out of what they delivered to us.
And what is the benefit to the ordinary citizen of this exercise?
So, for example, firsthand, we were able to say what the age cohort is of a likely detainee.
Okay.
We were able to say, look, on average, it was taking this long to process. We were able to say these thousands amount of persons were detained, and out of it, X percentage were actually charged.
I see.
It is that sort of quantitative analysis that we can do, and we can make qualitative comments.
So okay. So now that you are getting what you desire, we can look forward to that analysis forthcoming.
I think we can, but remember we have a different public defender now. I don't know if she's going to take the same position her predecessor took, but I suspect it will be the same.
But it's not optional. I mean, you do these things according to your legal remit, don't you?
Oh yeah, we do. But every captain runs his ship differently. You can appreciate that.
Mr. McKenzie?
Yes, sir.
You have you found my file?
Well, from your predecessors, you were expecting your come because you promised gallantly that you're going to march in with the cavalry. And
Mr.
McKenzie, might be traveling.
You want to hear what he said?
My colleague is laughing at me.
March in with the cavalry.
But I am the only detainee who start from the beginning to the end and had four public defenders recommending to PNP and JLP government, and they have not responded.
But you are the only detainee, who have had that in your favor and have not taken it to court.
Say that again?
You are the only detainee who have been detained for that period of time. I've had so many people recommended compensation for you, and you have not actually even taken it to court.
Mr. McKenzie, what's your address?
Again, I'm going to tell you again. 22 to 24 Dick Street.
I will
say to you repeatedly.
I'll be in your office next week.
No, well, I'm sure. But let's unpack this for our listeners. You see, because it sounds, and I'm highly respectful, Mr. McKenzie. This bit about going to court. Going to court is an obstacle course. I'm an officer of the court. You see, but I can tell you, court is the last place you want to go to.
I know.
Yes, and so it would take almost as long as the elapse of time since Mr. Charles has been released from detention to know if he went to court. No, I understand that, and that is the last recourse. It is a shame. It is a shame and scandal in the family, to borrow the lyrics. That it should take that long, and I'm exaggerating a little, but not much. And but it relates to some previous issues that we were talking about, and also to very current ones where people simply cannot access the courts because the amount of money that they have to pay, the amount of time that they have to waste. Believe me,
there's some criticism on the courts in this.
God will come first. This most unfortunate one.
Caribbean.
Yeah, most unfortunate criticism.
I know because Mr. Charles couldn't go to court. No, it's statute barred. But as you know, Mr. Thwaites, fees are quite high, and were he to retain your services only through your benevolence, could you actually be able to actually pay your fee and access the court?
And just for the sake of it, I would never charge Mr. Charles. But of course, the other thing is that even when Mr. Charles got the judgment, it might take him years to collect it.
To collect, if ever at all.
That is a reality. So when we tell, I'm obliged to pinch him, when we tell security guards, why don't you go to court? You must be mad.
No, man,
it doesn't work that way.
Thing.
Yes, when I hear one minister talk about due process, should know what due process can save you from hunger belly and sometimes distress and death. It should.
Sometimes it's expensive.
It should, but it doesn't. We would have to find a public defender. You see. So going back to the information now, on the basis of the information that you have collected, for example, you mentioned in St. James, can you tell us what some of your conclusions are? What are some of the summaries that you're able to offer from that?
The St. James I'm referring to.
The state of emergency.
The 2018 state of emergency.
Oh, I see. From then, so you haven't got anything for the 2019, 2020?
No, we haven't received those yet.
Oh,
those are the latest ones for which we have made the request and which we are anticipating.
But surely that is a problem because the years are, months are passing, years are passing, and there's no justice if injustice has been done, eh? No, Pearnel, one of the reasons I'm pressing this, I went through the Green Bay trial,
Yes?
Yes, I went through the Green Bay trial. I had something to do with that. And
you are defending who? The government?
No, the people.
The people?
Yes. Not defending the government at all.
And what happened to that?
It took years. And
they got something?
Eventually, some got something. And many of them, I could tell you, died in poverty and penury when their rights had been trampled upon. And therefore, I'm very anxious that we never, under whatever pretext, of force majeure or anything else, or the creeping autocracy of the state, that we never go that way again.
Yeah.
And therefore, the work that the public defender has to do is of extreme importance. We'd like to summarize who can have access to you and how your department works when we come back from this short break.
I have something to say too.
Sure. Coming right back to you. Just give us a few minutes. This is The Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. Thanks very much for being with us. This is a program, one of its kind, It's called The Public Eye. It's been going for about 50-odd years. Mr. Charles and myself are anxious to unpack for the people in the diaspora and at home the issues of the day. Mr. McKenzie is the Deputy Public Defender of Jamaica. He's telling us some important stuff. So, Mr. McKenzie, who can approach the Public Defender? What's the scope of your activity? And how successful is the enterprise of public defense?
Before I say that, I want, since you mentioned the diaspora, I just want to make it clear that the Public Defender Office in Jamaica is not like the Public Defender Office in some other jurisdiction. People in the diaspora, especially in the United States, may hear it and regard it as what the public defender is in the USA, because we have a high consumption, even here in Jamaica, of US media. In the United States, it's a chamber, as you know, Dr. Thwaites, of lawyers who defend people who cannot afford lawyers on the open market, for what of better word. So they are more akin to more like our legal aid training here. The public defender is not that. We are a commission of parliament with ombudsman type jurisdiction, and we investigate complaints against government agencies, meaning ministries, departments, or agencies. We can only investigate private entities if the government has at least 51% controlling shares in it.
Okay.
Otherwise, our jurisdiction is ousted.
Right.
So let's set that straight when we say public defender. It is even made worse by the fact that we are located at Duke Street. Lawyers are to our left, law firms are to our left, law firms are to our right, law firms are across the road in front of us. So anybody coming in the area, and it has happened in the past, think that we are a chamber of lawyers who can defend them at court. No, we don't do that. But to come to the core question, who can approach us? Anybody can approach us. We don't collect fees, and your complaint will depend. How we address it will depend on who or what you're complaining against.
Right.
If you're complaining against your neighbor or your lawyer who you think give you a raw deal,
not you,
in a transaction, we can't deal with that.
No.
If you're complaining against the Water Commission, if you're complaining against the ministry, you're complaining against a statutory body, we have jurisdiction.
Okay. And the first thing that we want to do, Pearnel, is to really give thanks that there is an institution set up by the state in order to help people who need redress against the state. That's a good thing.
Mr. McKenzie, one of the things that would make it better is for me and Ronnie to know some of the successes of the public defender over the past year or two.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
All right. You regard them as successes. We really don't call them successes. We refer to them as resolution. Because even sometimes, very complainants do not actually accept it in its entirety. And let me start out with one, which highlights what you would call a success, which we would call a resolution, and one in which some of the very complainants themselves refuse it. Let's talk about the Coral Gardens incident. That happened before probably you and I all were born. And public defender 2 removed.
I have to laugh. You don't know the age of us both, but never mind. Thank you for the compliment.
Public defender 2 removed started it.
Yeah.
The immediate past public defender continued it, and we completed it and arrived at some recommendations, many of which were accepted by the government. One of which was to use property called Otameni as some property to the Rastafarian. That's an example which all of them from upon the owner refuse. They don't want Otameni, that sort of thing. So the Coral Guards was one. Another one is again, we don't call it success, we call it resolution. The incident in which the 2 public defenders removed recommended a commission of inquiry into the Tivoli Gardens incident of 2010.
Yes.
And out of that commission of inquiry, out of his investigation, the recommendation was made. The government accepted it, convened a commission of inquiry, and out of that commission of inquiry, some recommendations were made, were accepted.
Yes.
There's also others like years ago there was a young girl in St. Hilda's who was given head girlship. It turned out that she was of a religious denomination which apparently school didn't necessarily want to be for the head girl, and they defrocked her. We investigated that, recommended that she be reinstated. It was reinstated. She was reinstated. And those are some of the resolutions.
Sure. And I do thank you for reminding us. That's really good. People need to know, and are you busy? Do you have a number of people coming to you, matters that you can in fact help with?
To say that we are busy is an understatement.
I thought so. Yes.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
Everybody comes to the public defender office. Let me give you an example. And this is not a far-fetched one alone. A man was sentenced 30 years in prison because of murder.
Yes.
In fact, he was coming from a death sentence commuted to 30 years.
Yes.
After life, 30 years minimum. After he finishes 30 years, he ends up at the public defender office wants us to get compensation for him.
Yes.
Even though draft 12 at the time, found you guilty, the Court of Appeal affirmed the conviction, the Privy Council affirmed your conviction, all that the sentence reduce it from life, from death to life. And we have had many people like those coming. People have even come in here and ask us, say, look, my spouse is not sleeping with me. I want us to help. We want you to help us to get her him to come back.
I hope you have ancillary skills for those situations rather than just showing them the door. Mr. McKenzie, we prize the work of the Public Defender's Office. We're grateful that the difficulties that you were experiencing with the constabulary are on the way to be cleared up, and we look forward to the analysis that you'll be able to offer us and to the country regarding how these extraordinary powers have in fact been exercised.
Once you say there's a parting shot, can I be allowed to make one entry on that business with the states of emergency in the GTA?
Sure.
You see, the same way, or when the states of emergency have been declared, there's promulgated something in writing called regulations, which tell the police what to do, what not to do.
Sure.
Perhaps, just perhaps, the provision of information to the Public Defender Office or any other organization, even the Civilian Oversight Committee, perhaps that could be put in writing too.
Of course.
So we don't have this gray area of whether or not it is supposed to one division thinks that they shouldn't do it, or one division believes this or believes that. Just perhaps, rather than leading up to the knowledge of division commanders or anybody else, that it be put in writing.
Indeed.
And you two goodly gentlemen,
yes, we have to press.
Two parliamentarians could use your platform and your prestige and your parliamentary power and impose on erstwhile colleagues to have that done.
Well, thank you very much for that. So it's a worthwhile suggestion. It's in fact it ought to be so without any doubt. Thanks for your call. Thanks for your company today, Mr. Herbert McKenzie, Deputy Public Defender.
And as a young
Jamaica.
man, Mr. McKenzie, keep moving
going.
on.
Yes,
I think you're
doing well,
demonstrating good credit to the profession.
Thank you very much.
Well, but I'm not as young as you think I am.
Never mind.
Okay.
Well, you look young.
The company. Thanks, Mr. McKenzie. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge. Before the time runs out, in the minute we have left, Mr. Charles.
Why didn't you ask him whether or not the security guards could come to him?
I forgot. But also I despair because I think I know what they don't have a claim against a state agency, and therefore
you have to have
take
a claim against
a state agency. The issue I wanted to conclude with you on, I'm sure you've been following this issue in the United States between Fox News and Dominion.
What a serious problem.
Abe, you come from a country, you know about Abe?
Yes.
I am so glad Fox get a boof. Yes? And two, lie. Yes? And they have to pay $785 million. But they're still going to go on with what they're going on with, because that's a small money for them. Yes? But the Abe, at least now, you cannot just take liberty with truth and with people because they're in public life. Remember, it came before us in Parliament when we were there. They wanted wanted us to amend the law of libel, so that in fact you could say anything about a parliamentarian, a government minister, it didn't attract libel.
Because you're not nobody.
Yes, and it turned back. We turned it back, or we modified it. Freedom of the press is a wonderful thing, but responsibility and a commitment to truth are essentials of that. The right does not exist.
Two good points.
Without the responsibility.
To truth.
Yes.
You can make mistakes.
Yes, of course.
In your commitment.
Different matter.
But
yes, that has to be the
objectives.
Yeah. Every right has a responsibility.
Yes.
Yes, and that is what Fox did not exercise.
But they were supporting Trump so heavily that,
despite the fact that they knew what he was saying was tripe Trump. And that's it for the Public Eye for today. Thank you so much, sir, for your company. Yes.
I'm going to just advise you that I intend to seek representation from my man up in Red Hills. based on your presentation today.
Listen to me.
So next week I'll have an answer for you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
As to how rough you were.
Thanks to Sir G, and thanks to LaFane, and thanks to Marco and to Sean for all their good company and help today. As always, stay tuned to the Bridge 99 FM. If life spare and the Lord tarries, we'll be back next Wednesday.